That title is true. There is a doctor down in Oklahoma that will accept Bitcoin as payment. And no, it's not some fly-by-night abortionist shack. It's actually two of the most lovely doctors I've ever met. In fact, I had a nice steak dinner they treated me to one time before I went and spoke to them and saw how they did their practice. But I guess that's what leads me to what I want to talk about today, which is in the news business, covering stories that feel like they're meaningless, where either your audience doesn't seem to care about the story you're reporting on, or nobody's reading it, or nobody's watching the things you're making, and you can feel passionate about it or feel like it's important information, and you can try your darndest to make it entertaining or informative, and there's just not an audience for it. And I've done many stories like this. These two doctors down in Oklahoma that run a surgery center. They actually practice a form of medicine called direct primary care, which is a form where they don't take any health insurance. But on the flip side, what they do is they put all their prices online up front. So if you need a hip replacement or a tonsillectomy, you just go to the website, click what you need, and you can see exactly how much it's going to cost you. They're very transparent in their pricing. It's a flat fee. And then on top of that, you can work out payment plans, but they also accept Bitcoin, Litecoin. I one time had somebody pay in gold bars. That's the Oklahoma, Texas region for you. But nobody really read it. Nobody watched the videos. Nobody read the articles. Now, I'm not the first person to report this story. There's been a few other media outlets that have covered it. But I knew going into it, on some level, not that many people were going to be interested in it right away. And that's, I think, perhaps the most philosophical token to internalize, which is that not all reporting gets its value from eyeballs. The full story is I flew to Oklahoma City to talk with these two doctors. It's a cold February weekend, just icy cold in Oklahoma City, and I remember thinking like, oh, it's gonna be super warm. I'm stoked. So, get out of New York City, we land in Oklahoma City. It's bloody cold out, just absolutely frigid. And then my ear had to decompress, so my ear was jammed up at the time. I couldn't think at all. I remember explaining to the doctors that I was supposed to interview, being like, listen, I'm sorry, it's really hard for me to think right now because my right ear is still pressurized at 30,000 feet and it feels like there's a nail inside my brain. And they tried all kinds of concoctions and potions, eventually prescribing me Prezidone, which worked like a charm. But I kind of owe them. Well, thank you for being willing to also see me as your patient while I'm interviewing you as a reporter, and you have no idea how I might portray you in the future. They were wonderful. They were absolutely charming, thoughtful doctors that weren't in it for the money, ultimately. I think that was an important point that I realized halfway through. But beyond that, I remember speaking with the doctors and saying, listen, I can't promise you that this is going to blow up or drive business to your practice here, or that it's really going to change anybody's mind. All I can say is that I find this interesting, and I hope other people will find it interesting. So I'm here to talk to you, and why I want to publish stuff about your practice. Sometimes we and I in media get so obsessed with the quantity of eyeballs, we overlook the quality of eyeballs. And it's really the quality of eyeballs that matter more than the quantity. Because the quantity is an easy metric. It looks good. Wow, this get 100,000 views in the first 3 days. This piece I wrote is viral. Look at this, I can show my coworkers. I can show it to my friends and family. But if those eyeballs, while it may be informative or educational, if they're all 15-year-old teenagers or just old men and women that are sitting in their retirement home just kind of browsing on their grandchild's iPad because they can't do anything else and they get wheeled down to a little lunch, they're eating their applesauce. That's great, and I don't mean to take anything away from it, but let's say instead it only had 10 people read your article, but those 10 people was a hedge fund manager, a politician, a lobbyist, a disenchanted doctor that was thinking of starting his own business model in California. And all these people had power and leverage to change systems that would have a vast impact over many more people than those original 100,000 eyeballs would. So yes, it's hard to quantify the quality of people reading your work because we just don't have the analytics as advanced and as invasive as Google and Amazon are. They ultimately can't tell you what is the statistical probability that the reader reading your article will have the leverage in society to implement your ideas? It's too many variables. But just because your reporting doesn't necessarily take off or seem viral next to your peers doesn't mean it doesn't have value. And I think it's important to remember we shouldn't always measure things just because they're easy to measure. And I have a tendency to do that personally. I'll speak for myself. And that things that are easier for me to measure, like numbers, statistics, quantifiable metrics, I measure because they're easier to do so. Money, cost per click, CTR. But oftentimes the most valuable things in life are the intangibles. Just like the quantity isn't as important as the quality of eyeballs on an article. But I tried to forewarn them that there's no guarantee that this is going to be interesting. Most people in general aren't that interested or motivated in healthcare news. Like, we all kind of roll our eyes, myself included, every time there's another video or another article on, Medicaid for all, Medicare for all, the U.S. health insurance system pays X amount of money. Oh, cut me a break. Yes, we know it's bad, but the politicians talk about it. Nobody cares. It's just kind of just in one ear, out the other ear. And I knew that going in. But I tried to convey to them that it's the quality of eyeballs that may see this piece over the quantity. And ultimately, good pieces of reporting live forever. And you never know 5-10 years from now who's going to see it and pick up on that information and maybe change the world. And I think that's what motivates, hopefully, good reporters to keep reporting stories, even if at the time it feels like they're meaningless. Just some thoughts. If you found this interesting or insightful, or kind of behind the scenes of the existential crises of modern media, keep watching more videos. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you tomorrow, and click here. I say this every time, and I never embed the video. Like, subscribe. Bye.